We are live.
Are we right now?
That's what it says. Hello, guys. Can you guys hear us?
Oh, let's check it out. Can you see us?
Can you see us? Can you hear us? I've never done it with the new system live on the phone, so it's kind of crazy.
Let me see if I can pull us up. Are we on EEARTS or?
EEARTS, yeah.
I don't see us.
And it shows 3 people, 8 people,
So other people can see us.
13 people. So, yeah, I think there's stuff going. Can you find us?
I'm looking. And EEARTS, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm looking. Hmm.
So I'll hand it to you.
Okay. Hi, you guys. There's Miss Nicole. Ozboy. Awesome.
It's right there.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Okay, so we're sideways.
We
So
are.
turn it the other way.
Okay.
And, well, there we go. Now we're right side up.
Oh, wow. How nice. This is fun, you guys. Hi, Calvin. Ozboy.
Awesome.
Grizzly.
One
Okay,
with
okay.
nature.
I'm going to do a roar out here. I bet you if I roar out here, it's a lot better. Can you guys hear us? Roar!
There she goes. So, yeah, it's beautiful. We had rain today again. It's rained so many days. It's kind of crazy. So, yeah, this is the EEA Homestead. This is where we live, guys. And, as I've let you guys know, we are dealing with a very limited budget, but we're going to try to put together something that's going to work. And, something that you could do even if you're extremely limited as far as budget goes. So out in the middle of the desert, 1 acre, this is like 1.2 acres, that's ours. There's actually probably 100 that's vacant. Is pretty cheap. So you could get an acre or a little bit more for not much. And you could do a lot with it. Ours is a mess right now, so please forgive us. So this is our home. It's a 19-foot camper, so it's not big. The reason we picked it is for its off-road capabilities and also the fact that it has solar on it already and just a good reputation from everything, excuse me, that we read about it and found about it. As you can see, there's mounds of dirt, mounds and mounds of dirt from some spots 12-foot hole. It's probably going to level out to about 9 feet down, and then we'll start building the earth bag home in there. And we'll do other ones above ground too as well. And so this is our view heading off to the other side. And so Zika's chilling, getting ready for the campfire. Sassy had a long day of work. She's tired out. And the other sassy one's been working too. Does she want to be seen?
Not today.
She doesn't want to be seen today. We're both like grubby as you can imagine. So this is going to be our second raised bed here. It's about 8 feet wide and they're 24 feet long. And that's the first one. Actually, we still got stuff we didn't put in the ground yet today. They'll be okay. We'll just set them out here so they could get a little acclimated. And we got stuff in the ground, and we're going to have to here go get more topsoil, lots and lots of topsoil, lots of peat moss too. And then, this is going to be the chicken coop, which is everything we're doing is complete scrap wood. It's all stuff that was just thrown away. So obviously it's not going to look great, but it's going to function. And you could do it on a extremely tight budget. Almost no budget, when you get down to it. And so we have a composter that we still got to put together. Meanwhile, all the stuff that we're composting is just sitting in that bucket. And then this is 150 feet of chicken wire. We had to use another 150 feet that we had because we had people driving through with motorcycles through the front yard.
So, Doug wants to know, how are you dealing with the rodents, or are they a problem? No, they're not a problem yet. I do have some stuff that seems to work really well. I've used in the past called rodent sheriff, and it's basically just peppermint essential oil, super super strong stuff. And I use that for everything. I try to use a deterrent instead of anything that would hurt anything else. So far, no rodent problem yet.
And peppermint gets rid of a lot of things,
Yep.
right?
Oh yeah, it gets rid of cockroaches. It gets rid of rats, mice, bunnies don't even like it. I think it's safe to probably put around your garden and your leaves and stuff. You can do a lot with peppermint. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most definitely. So, yeah, I hope some of you guys didn't freak out because I disabled comments on a video. First time I think I ever did that. On the other channel, I won't disable comments over here at all. Just, I was trying to educate and illuminate. And, it's like we just don't have time. And so, you get into these discussions with people that could be like 20, 30 comments long. And it's like, it'd be so much easier just to do another video or two or a series and, put them out. And that's what I'm going to do. So some of the controversial stuff that's going to really maybe, be touchy for some people, that'll go up on the first channel, and I'm just going to disable comments. And those that could glean anything out of it, then good for them. And those that can't, then, they don't have to watch it. But I've had some major revelations lately. Major revelations. There's some things I've always suspected that now have really fallen into place, and so that'll be upcoming in a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. I got to do more research on it, but it's something that always spoke to me as being true, and it's a paradigm shift completely, and it's. If we think that the elite have done some nasty things to us over time, which they have. I mean, we could look at the Holocaust, right? We could look at what's going on now. This is even bigger, honestly, than that. So, I just wanted to let you guys know what I was doing. I love being with you guys, especially on the second channel, because the second channel is full of people that just have a little bit more of an open mind and tons of love and compassion, and really, really just you guys, you're here for the change to help people. That's who you guys are for sure. Not that there's not good people on the first channel, just that you will get people that come in that are just trying to lower everybody's vibrations. And we cannot afford that at this time. There's no way anybody can afford their vibrations lowered. And even if it means cutting off some relationships, I think that, and I know because I've had that happen, before, on a personal note, before I met Cindy, I was in a relationship that turned horrible and atrocious. And it was really like demonic possession. I've never seen a person just flip so much. But when you have PHARMACEUTI, you know what I mean, involved, and a person doesn't let you know that they're under the influence of something like that, it could get nasty. And everything is, as we say, it's very twisted, because the stuff that was illegal and natural is about raising, as we have talked. And I know I don't want to get totally demonetized on this channel either, but there's practices that the indigenous people across the globe have done that really does help with expanding consciousness. And it doesn't involve the use of the big lobbyists that control this company. This company, which is this country is a company. That's the thing people have to realize too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about the plant medicine because I'm just all about plant medicine. I've been down the other road. I saw what it did to me. It didn't work well. And yeah, I mean, like some of the best medicine, they've have the best plant medicine, they've made it out to be so horrible and demonic for you, but yet it's it can actually heal your brain. Who'd ever thought, you know? Mm.
Yeah, well, everything is completely backwards in this backwards, upside down world in which, as I was talking about, like on several videos lately, there's a reason why they have just ripped the divine feminine out of our minds in the Western world. And it's so that the atrocities that are being committed to the planet and to everything living on the planet, well, it won't hit our hearts as much because we've been hardened to think of the planet just as an object and not as a living being and not as something that's supporting so many different types of life. And that's been done purposely, completely purposely. And we could look at the results because, we're in a mass extinction.
Mhm. Yeah, we are, and I mean, Mother Earth, she is a being, and it needs to be symbiotic. So as much as you can enmesh with the earth, I think in many, many ways you'll be rewarded.
Most definitely. And there are benevolent beings out there, and there are tons. And we've been so trained again to, you know, not think that there's anything benevolent out there besides the authoritative figures like the church and only what they tell us. Listen to us, we know what's good for you. And I've shared once or twice before a story with you. Um, well, he wasn't even my father-in-law. The man that was going to be my father-in-law when I was young, because I got married at a very young age before Cindy, and he had gone through an awful lot. Yeah, he went through the Korean War. Um, he got hit with shrapnel. It tore up his body really bad. He had to kill people, which tears up your soul.
Hmm.
And so he was on pharmaceuticals when he came back his whole life. And it just made him violent. He actually attacked me when I was 16 with a butcher knife. Um, and it was really sad because I was supposed to get married and we had to cut it off because he developed cancer. And then he wasted away and he was, think of Tony Soprano, like 6'3", about almost 300 pounds. And he withered away to maybe 120 pounds going through the cancer. And when he was passing on, they were Catholic, as was I. I wasn't at that point. I was born Catholic, but I changed. Even at about 12, I started going elsewhere on my own. Um, but when they were doing last rites, and I could sense his soul leaving, what I felt was horrible, horrible, and what the energy that was put off by the priest, who was, a nice, clean-cut looking young man who at the time was maybe 35, from Ireland, and maybe a little bit dry, but not a bad guy. But I was shocked that the ritual with the last rites, I could hear his soul screaming, and it was like he was being brought to torment. Now maybe that's from the war, but I felt the energies coming in. And so that event changed my mind about, the modern Christianity. And it was palpable because I've always been able to sense spirits. I've always been able to, see things to a degree, energy bodies and the like. And what I felt was like his soul was rounded up and taken away, and he was trying to get away and he couldn't. And it was scary. It was horrible. So that was something that really stuck with me.
Yeah, and that's what can happen. I feel if you are stuck in some kind of a dogma, in some kind of thing, and in a box, we chain ourselves down inside of our brain. It's up to us really to free ourselves. I mean, a lot of people think that the only way to go is through the Bible and through Jesus Christ, and there is no other way to learn, and they're going to die by it, and they're actually going to try to bring people down with them if you don't believe them. or if you don't do as they say, they'll threaten you, tell you, you're going to pay the consequences. And it's like, wow, what happened to the love? And I kind of understand. I did go to church. I tried to be a super good church mom, but it never quite made sense. And actually, if it wasn't for the Bible not making sense, I would not have made it out to be so as spiritual as I am. So the Bible does have a purpose. I'm sure there's some really good information in it. I just feel it's not nice the way they use it.
Yeah, and I did end up getting married in the Catholic Church because we had to go through all the procedures and practices, and everything. But then after never went back. I actually switched to an Anglican church and then Lutheran and then others as well, and then really started to spread out more. It started with going to one that was Jews for Jesus and a lot of evangelical laying on of hands, and I did feel the life force, and that was so cool, because it's in all of us. It's not, the Holy Spirit does not belong to one dogma. That's the bottom line, and some people are so convinced that it is. It only belongs to one dogma. It's called by different names in different traditions, but it's in all of us. And that's what we need to realize, because this has been a time of division. We need unity. We don't have to all be exactly the same. Actually, there's beauty in diversity as well. But we have to stop trying to always put down the other, and then also at the same time we have to call out things for what they are, because many times, well, often, well, pretty much almost all the time in this world, the powers that be are having us give our power away. We are constantly tricked into giving our power away. And it goes beyond this incarnation in this body for many. Many people don't realize that what they're doing is they're setting themselves up, yes, for the afterlife in some ways, but not necessarily in a positive way.
Yeah, I mean, it's trickery. It really is. I mean, they're setting us up to hand over our power, and so many of us, they think they're doing the right thing by trying to pull you back into that Bible and say, this is the way you have to believe. I mean, they're being their absolute best selves when they think that they're trying to help you. They truly, truly, truly think that they're saving you. And that's the scary part, is that they can't allow people to have different thoughts, different ways of being, without threatening them. I wish there was an easier way to get through to people like that, but sometimes I guess there's just not.
Yeah, it's a sad situation, and it's all born out of conditioning, and they are very thorough at conditioning us, dividing us into nation states, dividing us by our different dogmas, our different, creeds and everything. If all that was gone, I do think we would unite. I think, yeah, there would be some dissenters, but I think the troublemakers would only be maybe 10% of the population. As Grizzly said, God wants you to be empowered.
Yeah.
Wow, I just saw something flash over that way. Actually, in this direction, towards that bird, it's either the raven or the hawk, we see ships a lot. And we get wild flashes of light off in that direction. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff, but like tonight, actually, like those last, well, where we seen those one after another ships are over towards the western sky. So over in this way. Yeah, see, we do underestimate our true power. We have, yes, David. So he says we have the Most High in us. Yes, that's the bottom line. And, a lot of times people will say things like there was one comment when I was talking about the divine feminine. And basically this woman said, how did she put it?
There is no feminine in God.
Yeah. And it's like so crazy. So would she agree that God is omnipotent? Oh, yeah, God's all powerful. Would she agree that he's omniscient, that he's all knowing? Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, is he omnipresent? Is he everywhere? Yeah. Well, then he's in us and in everything. That's pretty simple logic, but it's the conditioning. It's the conditioning. And it's really sad. And yeah, it makes me think there is so much truth in so many different scriptures. Just like I originally titled the one today, I had the word scripture in it. And people automatically think it's got to be Judeo Christian and Abrahamic. There are other scriptures. You know, there are other holy books, there's other traditions, not just the one that is conditioning the mind of the world. And the one that we have is not necessarily the original. You know, there was such diversity, as we've said so many times, such diversity in the early church. All different beliefs, completely different beliefs. Yeah, as nuclear quantum lasers says, everything has polarity, male and female. That's just, it's obvious. It's amazing how when you have studied all the different philosophies, religions, and traditions, then you could see what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Ultimately, we're here for our own experience. So, maybe we're better off if we never, ever, take in another person's philosophy, thoughts, or words. However, in this society, so unless we've been living isolated all by ourselves, and we're not impacted by the philosophies, the religions, the political ideologies of others, then it's a good idea, to learn what other people think, because we can't escape it. We're so indoctrinated with it time and time again, completely indoctrinated. And we have been, even though a lot of people won't admit it. And it's amazing how they cannot see or consider other possibilities. Yes. Oh, thank you, Grizz. Yeah, the meteor shower is coming tonight, guys. This is a curious little angle this plane is going at, way high.
Yeah, it is.
It's curious. He's kind of looping.
Yeah.
It's going to be a beautiful night out here, and it's getting warmer. We're going to be in the 90s, which I don't really mind. Zeke's not high on that though. Zeke wishes that we move to Alaska. And that's interesting. Now I can't even see the plane now. Can you?
No, it's gone.
It looked like it disappeared. Where'd it go? It was there.
It's gone.
It just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, we
Very,
got that on film.
very interesting. The birds are out now, and so are the bats coming out. See so many birds out here. So much singing. And actually, everything is just kind of incredibly green. This is the desert. You're not really going to normally get any grass, and we got clumps of grass everywhere. So it's nice. Ray Ray says it was a Starfleet. It was something. It's curious because
It's gone now.
that direction is where the ships head to. That's where those ships head to, over in that area. And we almost ended up somewhere totally different. We had, a deal on the table that, you know, wasn't accepted, then was accepted, and then a different one that was a possibility. And then this popped up last minute, and so we ended up going with this one. You just kind of gotta go, where you're led and what comes at the same time. So that's it. I'm gonna sit down now.
You do. There's something to be said about that blade of grass that just sort of kind of goes where it's needed or goes where the wind blows. And we ended up, this is a pretty good spot because we get to see some pretty cool light shows.
All
Actually, I
right.
just saw another sparkle out there.
Did you
Good.
see Nuke's you're dead on. Let's talk about what you got. And so Nuke said that the suns are interdimensional portals. And yeah, again, it's all about what density, what vibration, what level of being. Because the sun is a being, as we've talked about. Yeah, it is a portal. And, I've shared with you guys too. I was at the beach in Nokomis in Florida. And my friend who had died for like 35 minutes, clinically dead, toe tagged, brought to the morgue, and came back to life. Who came back to life with incredible abilities. She was staring at the sun, and I said, "It's a beautiful sunset." And she said, "Well, I'm looking at them." And I said, "You're looking at who?" And she said, "The big, huge ships. They're doing something to the sun." I said, "What do they look like?" She said, "Gigantic blue orbs." And I said, "Who's in them?" And she said, "They were aliens. They're higher density beings." And I said, "What are they doing? Is it something good or bad?" She said, "Good." She said, "Because if they didn't slow down what's happening with the sun, the sun's own process of evolution, it wouldn't be good for us." So they were slowing things down so that we would have time, for as many people as possible to get through the ascension before, that solar flash comes.
Mm-hmm. Sorry
So,
about that.
so I want, okay.
Ask questions, I'll give you answers.
um, so she loves the Gayatri mantra, and that's her favorite mantra. And in it, it does recognize the sun, Sabitur. And, so she's connected with what's going on with the sun to a high degree. And then also she's been connecting with the Pleiadian energies as well. And what she got is fascinating because there's some stuff that she doesn't know, hasn't studied, which I know. And so when she brings stuff like that up, I know, wow, you got a really good connection, which is all the time with her. Her connection's like flawless, honestly. It amazes me. But then I know that's why we're together, because they didn't really put us together to make us happy, so to speak. They put us together because we have work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's quite clear too, because sometimes they do chastise us a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and let us know, it's time to get a little more serious, or
Mm-hmm.
in taking care of your body, or getting ready for what's coming, because we are getting barraged, guys, with all sorts of stuff. They're trying to hit us from every angle, as you guys know. But basically, the creator gods are not the Anunnaki at all, and they're not the Draco, and they're not the Greys. They're much, much higher beings. They're way up past that.
Mm-hmm.
They are to the point where they're so close to Source, Prime Creator, that they're mostly just pure energy, is what they are. Um, if you could, well, what comes to mind for those of you that watched the second Mortal Kombat, which is probably only like half of 1%, is in the end when those energetic beings came out and kind of restored balance and took things under control. Kind of like that. They're almost like pure energy. But these benevolent beings, they go around seeding planets, they move things into position. And they are benevolent because what do they want to do? They want to create places for life to grow, to thrive, to evolve, and explore creation, because they're serving the creator in that way. Because it's the creator's decision to have all this, to be down to this level of density in our 3D and 2D and 1D. That was creator's choice, and that creator resides in all of us. So, we are living out creator's mission for us in that sense. But at the same time, it's up to us, because, it's no fun if you don't have free will. And that would negate the whole purpose of it. So we have free will. And then there's beings that will, because of that free will, impose themselves on others, unfortunately, and that's what we have. So it creates these cosmic battles of those that want to follow Prime Creator's original intention. Not that the dark side is not following his intention, because a lot of things are set up for us to discover, to learn, and to rise above. So with this, these creator energies are still there. Yeah, they're still there in the sun. Not that they're not anywhere else as well, because when you get up to the higher levels, time and space doesn't even really exist.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And that's why I'm having trouble channeling them, because I take death into consideration where they don't. They don't. There is no death where they're from. So with me being a filter of sorts, they have to filter through my my knowing or my understanding. But what my understanding is these don't necessarily look human. The one that I saw that I didn't understand was like, it was like, like a fish, and Michael kind of understood that a little bit more. But there's different soul streams, and depending on like what soul stream you're in, are you going to, be able to be coherent with these other beings? I mean, we all might be in human form, or we are in human form, but we are different, and it feels like there's about 7 of them up there, and they're not necessarily human looking. Like the fish one kind of threw me, but Michael understood more about that. I'll let him tell you about that one.
Say that again, sweet.
The fish.
Well, there's Vishnu is the preserver. And so I don't think in the Hindu tradition, and I don't think that, I think we do a disservice when we negate other people's beliefs, because it's only when you start putting all them together that you can see absolutely clearly. At least it's been my experience that everything becomes just super crystal clear in so many ways. So, it could be an aspect of Vishnu because he did have an incarnation as a fish, so to speak. And that could also represent a whole race or class of beings now in general as well.
The lion one with the snake.
Yeah, she doesn't, she has heard things, but she doesn't even know really about what we would call Yaldabaoth, or the demiurge, which is viewed in a negative light in some Gnostic texts, and in others not necessarily in a negative light. So it's one of those things where we have to be very, very careful to allow ourselves to change our minds on things, because what she described was exactly the demiurge, a lion's head on a snake's body. And again, she hasn't really studied the Kabbalah. She really hasn't studied Gnosticism. Have you ever
No.
read anything about?
No, I'm very. I haven't had time. I have like 4 kids and grandkids and stuff. So my life has been really busy working and with children.
Yeah, she has 4 kids and 4 grandkids. So yeah, she's a grandma. The sassy one's a Grammy.
I prefer to be called Nana.
So David says, is Yahweh the demiurge who created this matrix? That is, in some Gnostic circles, the line of thought. If you look at the law of one, Yahweh was a higher being that, not that he made a mistake, but perhaps he could have done a little bit better, but not really a negative being, had the right intentions, just things kind of got out of hand and astray. So, I'm still in my own mind piecing together exactly where these beings, trying to clarify the lines between them. So we have the Anunnaki, like Enlil and Enki, for instance, who did, according to their texts, which are way older than anything biblical, created humans for slaves. And again, there's way more of these texts than anything biblical, and they're far older. So it's curious. Just like that cloud right there, actually. Look at that cloud right there. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Now we have the Draco, and those are nasty beings, not a lot of love and light in them. Um, but then there are those that will say not all Draco are necessarily bad. So, who are Enlil and Enki? And, and who are the Draco? Which one of them is controlling us now? And when we went deep with Cindy in like a trance state and channeling, they're different entities. They are different entities. Enki and Enlil do have more reptilian blood in them than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they definitely do. She saw them pretty clearly.
Mm-hmm.
They're humanoid reptilians for the most part. The Draco looks a lot like what you would picture the devil looking like. And I've shown a lot of pictures of them. So, do either of those groups have our best interests in mind? No, I don't think so. Even Enki, because Enki, when Anu came, and Anu was going to grant us basically godhood. Anu, right? Enki's dad, Enlil's dad. And there's beautiful Venus,
There it is.
you know? And he was going to actually grant us godhood, but Enki tricked us into not taking it. He was going to lift our curse, so to speak. So that wasn't nice, you know. That really wasn't nice when you think about it. So, do any of them have our interest in mind, best interest in mind? I don't think so. I do think there are those that do, though. Obviously, there's a lot of channelings from the Pleiadian realm, from the Andromedans, from the Arcturians, as well as some others, and some inner Earth beings that seem very benevolent. And like Adama and Telos, the Telosians, which are leftover Lemurians. They're actually fifth density, and they're up in Shasta. And we definitely got upgrades when we went to Shasta, and it was beautiful, and we could feel their energies. But you know what, too? We did have a night where we felt some very strong negative energies. You remember that?
Oh my gosh. Oh, do you mean that one that was like in 4D that I could see?
Yeah.
That was terrible, you guys. It lumbered down this way. You know how we have the pallets up like a corral? Michael walked inside just for a second, and that thing lumbered down, and Zeke was over there with him. Zeke wasn't in the corral. And then he stood at the corner and he stared at me. And the only reason I could see him is because he was blacker than the dark. Oh my gosh. I hate talking about it. It was horrible.
Yeah, those are not nice entities, but that wasn't actually the one I was talking about. The one I was talking about was the one we were up in Shasta. Do you remember the dark energy up in Shasta?
That was weird. Yeah, that was a weird one. That Shasta would change from like place to place. I mean, for the most part, I felt the benevolent ones would make my heart chakra go off. But then there was ones where like it would feel so Draco-ish and weird, you know.
Well, these are portals, and so not always only good guys go through portals, and not only bad guys go through portals as well. So those.
Chris P said it just buffed after that, Cindy. Yeah, that when I was talking about that entity.
Well, as I said, we did a cleansing here, and we haven't felt anything like that again.
No, we haven't.
So that's been a positive.
Mm-hmm.
Basically anything that's based in light and love, I'm always very careful to, ask for only the highest and best, for us, for the planet, for, all the sentient beings on the planet. And I also always ask that the darkness be lifted from the planet as well. We have to be, careful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as SRA says, it won't get you. It's just trying to scare you.
Oh, I know, SRA. It was terrible. It did scare me too because I could feel what it was thinking, and it was just standing there looking at me like if maybe it had an opportunity. How long was I going to be alone? That was typical feeding off fear. Oh, it was terrible.
Well, they've tried to suppress her for multiple lifetimes as well. And, the darkness is, they know who we are before we incarnate. That's the bottom line. They know who the star seeds are. They know exactly who you are. They knew who you were in your last incarnations. And so they do their best to take away our ability to do our work.
They sure do. And, then you get angry, build it, and then release that energy. Yeah, right? I know I do need a little bit of practice. It's just that thing was so unexpected. It really, really got me. And the times when I see things with my two eyes, usually it doesn't stun me. But this time was different. I guess because it was lumbering and it was so black.
Yeah, and the weird part is too, in the middle of the night, like about maybe 5 days before that, I woke up real quick because I sensed something was out there, and then I heard something, and that's the picture I got, honestly, in my mind. And I said something to Cindy, and she said, basically, did you hear that? And she said, yeah, I heard it too. And then in the morning when we came out there was these strange, very spread, kind of dinosaur-like three-toed footprints in the ground that made no sense. They were like twice Zeke's paws in size, and Zeke's like 65 pounds, and they were deep in the ground. Like whatever it was pretty damn heavy. But there's so much nothingness here. When you get past this little cluster of people out here homesteading, you could go many many miles in every direction and there's nothing. So perfect playground for all sorts of critters and creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How long have we been on?
Oh, about 41 minutes.
Okay.
So this seems to be working pretty good, guys. I'm glad. I'm really happy we got a signal on all this.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, there's big earth changes coming. We could feel them, we could sense them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things, like all the whole world is worrying about is the plague upon the land.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, that's what everybody's mind's on. And, just how many of our liberties are disappearing. But, really, you could see what's happening. For one, there's a lot of debris and stuff around us, lots of meteors and asteroids, and of course, the comets. And then also the earthquakes, the way they're swarming in some areas is really kind of ominous. So it feels like there's a big buildup going on. And then the ascension, look at the Schumann resonance, so high. It's just incredibly high. Everything is changing. Our reality is changing. Life is becoming more of a waking dream. So many good comments about, empowering yourself and recognizing that and using that as your defense as well when there's attacks by these darker entities. Because they will try us. They will test us. Absolutely. That they will. And they're going to try to feed off of us. So we have to be very, very aware of that. And we have to not have fear. Fear feeds them. Source is within us. So just let your light shine and have no fear.
Which is, I don't know. I struggle with that one. I think because there's like PTSD involved with my brain and it's like it's this constant state and I know everything's a choice at a certain level. Everything is a choice, but what do you do if you're like brain damaged, you guys? I mean, I don't know, it's just something I have to walk through and figure out, and hopefully something at some point will give way and I'll have a better understanding and I won't fear. But there's a lot of us that have gone through things that, like even Zeke, sometimes Zeke will just get triggered and he'll shake. And I really think he can sense the elementals. And, it's a matter of getting control of your brain, which is difficult. But, what has really, really helped, though, is the energy work, the mantras, the meditating, just quieting my brain has helped me get some kind of control on it. And yeah, I do use plant medicine, but that's a lot better than I used to be on, like all these medications, like 20 different ones to try to control my brain and make it stop and shut down. But yeah, we're all a little bit different. It's just a matter of exploring, getting really curious about yourself, finding out what works for you. And I guess I have to keep remembering that things happen for us, not to us. So whatever anxiety and stuff I go through, and if I learn something from it, I try to tell you guys about it. So hopefully, maybe you can help someone else and pay it forward.
So, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this first live here at the Homestead, and doing it also with our phones, which is kind of cool. I will try to take photos of whatever we see later on tonight, because I feel like we're going to see something. And I want to thank you guys for your support as always. We love you guys. And as always, God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.